I now call the January 6th, 2021 Monroe County Board of Zoning Appeals meeting to order. Somebody want to do a roll call?
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay. Vicki Sorensen,
Here.
Mary Beth Kazmarchuk,
Here.
William Hosea,
Here.
Bernie Garitas,
Here.
and Margaret Clemens. I think Margaret is, okay, Margaret just got here. Okay, so we have all 5 members.
All right. Introduction of evidence.
Okay. The Monroe County Comprehensive Plan as adopted and amended, the Monroe County Zoning Ordinance as adopted and amended, the Monroe County Subdivision Control Ordinance as adopted and amended, the Board of Zoning Appeals Rules of Procedure as adopted and amended, and the case is advertised and scheduled for hearing on tonight's agenda.
I move that we approve the introduction of evidence.
I second the motion.
Okay, I'll call the roll. Mary Beth Kazmarchuk,
Yes.
Bernie Garitas,
Yes.
William Hosea,
Yes.
Margaret Clemens,
Yes.
Vicki Sorensen.
Yes.
Okay,
I move that we approve tonight's agenda as advertised.
I second that motion.
okay, I'll call the roll.
Thanks, Jack.
Bernie Garitas,
Yes.
William Hosea,
Yes.
Margaret Clemens,
Yes.
Vicki Sorensen,
Yes.
Mary Beth Kazmarchuk.
Yes.
Are there any additions or subtractions or deletions from the minutes from October 20th meeting? I'm sorry, Mary Beth. I think I forgot what
That's
night.
okay. You're fine.
Okay. But if not, then I would like to move that we approve the minutes from the October 20th meeting.
I'll
I
second
second.
Margaret's motion.
Okay, I'll call the roll. William Hosea,
Yes.
Margaret Clemens,
Yes.
Vicki Sorensen,
Yes.
Mary Beth Kazmarchuk,
Yes.
Bernie Garitas.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Okay, the old business has been continued by the petitioner. So we get to the new business. And that is case number 2011-VAR-90 and 2011-VAR-91. And Drew, that's you.
Thank you. Let me go ahead and get this slideshow set up for you guys. Okay, can everyone see these pages? Okay.
Yes.
All right, so this is the Deckard-Hardin Ridge minimum lot size variance, chapter 804, and the Deckard-Hardin Ridge residential storage structure variance to chapter 802. It's located in East Hardin Ridge. Does not have an official address quite yet, but is in Clear Creek Township. It has a parcel number here, and it's in section 24 of Clear Creek Township. It's zoned Forest Reserve and Eco 1. All right. So overall, the petitioner is requesting 2 design standards variances from chapter 804 and 802 in order to construct a 50 by 80 residential storage structure. I did get a message from the petitioner's representative this afternoon stating that it's actually 3,000 square feet. We'll have to make changes to that site plan as it does indicate 50 by 80. So we'll have to make that adjustment. But the petition site is zoned Forest Reserve, which requires a minimum 5-acre lot size. And if you'll note on the previous page, it is only 1.38 acres. Additionally, any development on this property would require a minimum lot size variance due to that acreage difference. And the residential accessory structure are limited to 1,750 square feet per the ordinance when a property does not have an existing primary use. So since the property is vacant and they want to construct a residential accessory structure before constructing a residence on the property, they are petitioning for this variance. Here we have the location map. As I stated, it's in Clear Creek Township. It's right along Lake Monroe. Current zoning is Forest Reserve, also in Eco 1. Comprehensive plan has it designated as managed lands. Site conditions is fairly flat on the property, as you'll note on the slope map. There are a few sloped areas that are above that 12%, which is protected by Chapter 825 and the Eco 1 area. So we'll have to be sure to take note of those areas. Otherwise, there's no FEMA floodplain on the property. There's no known karst, and it receives access from East Hardin Ridge, which is this gated community that you have to go through the park actually to get to. Here I included a parcel-sized map that shows all the properties in the area that are under the 5-acre minimum for the Forest Reserve Zone. So as you'll note, everything in green is under the 5 acres that's required for the minimum lot size in the Forest Reserve Zone. Here we have some aerial images of the petition site. Just gonna kind of go ahead and pan through these. More aerial images. You can see the proximity to Lake Monroe and other properties in the area. And here we have some on the ground site photos. This gravel road here in the bottom right photograph is the primary access off of East Hardin Ridge. And then there's the driveway here that comes up onto the property. More photographs of the property here and their gravel drive. This home here in the bottom right photograph is on a different site. They are neighbors. I will go through some neighbor support letters later in this presentation as well. More photographs showing where the proximity to the lake and turning around, looking back at the property, kind of getting an idea of some of those sloped areas that are on the property. Here we have the petitioner's letter, as well as the consent letter for Mr. Borgman to represent them from Smith Design Group. As you'll note in this letter, it states 3,000 square foot residential structure. So again, we'll just have to make sure that their submitted site plan reflects that change. Okay, so here's the site plan. On the next page, I have one that's a little bit more zoomed in. You'll note that this is the residential accessory structure that they're proposing to be constructed on the property. Driveway space here. And then this is a proposed future home site for the property as well. So their intent is to have a residence on the property at some point, but tonight they're petitioning for, number one, the minimum lot size because it's too small for its zoning district, and number two, that they want to have the residential accessory structure before starting in on the residence. So here's another one zoomed in a little bit more. You can see a little bit more of the 12% slope lines delineated here, as well as a proposed deck in the future for the home, proposed driveway, and that proposed residential storage structure. As you'll note, they are intending to meet all other design standards, including setbacks, buildable area, and other standards similar to those. So overall, planning staff recommends approval of the minimum lot size variance, Chapter 804 of the Monroe County Zoning Ordinance based on the findings of fact. And planning staff also recommends denial of the residential storage structure variance to Chapter 802 of the Monroe County Zoning Ordinance based on the findings of fact, specifically finding C, in that the petitioner could simply wait to construct their primary residence, and which would effectively make the need for a residence, or excuse me, for a variance for a residential storage structure not needed. If they did everything at once, they would not need this variance. And so therefore there are no practical difficulties from planning staff's perspective. There were 2 submitted letters of support from neighbors. Those came in after the packet went out. I can go over those if you'd like. I'm not sure if any of those individuals are on the call tonight to express their support as well. We'll probably hear from the petitioner if they are. But as for now, I will take any questions.
Does anyone have any questions for Drew?
I have a question, Drew.
Mhm.
On the, a couple of the pictures, it looks like a structure is already on the property. Is that true?
That's a good point. So on the overhead maps, these are older aerials from earlier this year. This structure here, that was an old dilapidated structure that no longer exists on the property.
Thank you.
Any further questions for Drew? Seeing none. Is the petitioner here or his representative?
Yes, I believe we are both on the Zoom.
Yes.
Okay, who would like to speak? Are you going to speak, Todd?
Yes, I believe I'll speak, and I think Tim may as well.
Okay. Do you
Well,
swear
yes,
to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes,
Okay, and state your name and then you can testify for us.
Todd Borgman.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes. I just wanted to thank planning staff and the BZA for taking into consideration these variances. My only 2 comments are I just wanted to reinstate the fact that it is only a 3,000 square foot building and not a 4,000 square foot building. That was just a typo on the site plan. And that, yes, we do have support letters from both the north adjoiner and the south adjoiner in support of both variances.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Todd?
I'm not seeing anyone, Mary Beth.
Yeah, I've got a quick question. If I can ask it, Todd, is the reason, and Drew may have gone through this, is the reason that the petitioner wants to build these structures in succession just because of the financing and the cost it takes to do them both at the same time?
No, it is not. The owner of the property lives on this road as well. And he is building this as a storage for right now for his boat and his RV. And then in the future, he intends to build on the property or have his children build on the property.
Any further questions for Todd? Thank you. Mr. Bergman.
Yeah, I'm curious. Have there been any house plans or anything of that sort submitted or starting, or maybe we can just wait till the petitioner has something to say?
That is probably a better question for him, but to my knowledge, no, I don't think that they've started any type of design.
Okay, thanks, Todd.
Okay, Mr. Deckard, are you here?
Yes, I am.
Do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Continue.
I guess, first of all, I'd like just to thank you for the variance that Todd submitted to you and hope that we can get it. The reason that we bought this property was we have been at Hardin Monroe for 35 years, my wife and I. And this property had an old dilapidated building on it for years. We bought the property. We took the building down, didn't realizing that we had to have a demolition permit. We got that. That was all taken care of, our mistake. We did it because we wanted to improve the area that the old building sat on, but we wanted to also be able to put boats, RV, and other vehicles that we had so that they're not out in the area, as well as ladders and things like that. So we did it basically to improve the area. We do not have any intention of building a home right away. We have a home on the other side of this property that we've been here for 35 years. Now down the road, we have one daughter, Sarah Elizabeth. If she would decide to build on it, that would be her discretion. But I want to make it clear, we do not have any plans at this time, nor any plans to support to build anything.
Okay,
And then-
thank you, sir.
And the other reason we bought it was that down the next 5 years or so, if we wanted to downsize from the home that we currently have at 8037 Hardin Ridge Road, then that would give us an option to go across the road and build a smaller home.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Deckard?
You know, if I might say, our plans for this building, even though it is 3,000 square feet, will have limestone all over it. It'll have windows all around it. It will be a nice, nice building. It's not just a pole barn that will look like a barn by any means.
Does
then-
anybody have any questions for Mr. Deckard? Did you have a question, Bernie?
No, I don't think so. I see that they've owned the property for 35 years and they live right across from it. Is my struggle with it that, you know, it's almost an appendage of the existing parcel that they've got. And, you know, a lot of the zoning and lot size and buildable areas have changed since they've actually purchased the property. And it seems like, I know the property, it seems like they've done a nice job cleaning it up. Being right across from the property, it seems like a unique situation where they can keep an eye on it and make sure that nobody's breaking into it, nobody's vandalizing it, and they can keep track of their property closely instead of buying another piece of property in another location to do the same thing on.
If I might say something, this property we bought just a year ago. Our primary residence here, we've had 35 years. Most properties here in Hardin Monroe don't turn over, and we were fortunate to buy it a little over a year ago from one of the families here.
Thank you for that clarification, Mr. Deckard.
Sure.
Thank you. Are there any further questions for Mr. Deckard?
No, but I have one for Drew.
Okay.
Could you put up those aerial images again? Or at least one of them?
Sure, 1 second. These ones?
Yeah. I wanted to see what Bernie mentioned about his other property being close to this one. Can you point out where that one is?
I think maybe one of these photographs is better. And the petitioner could correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's one of these over here. I think it's down the road here. This is to the left is north.
Mm-hmm.
Hardin Ridge Road comes down this way. Maybe I can get a better from this picture. I believe it's one of these up here.
Okay, so looks like maybe 1 or 2 lots in between. Is that correct?
They're not adjacent.
That is correct. There are 2 lots in between us. That is correct.
Okay, that's all I needed. Thank you.
Any further questions for staff or Mr. Deckard?
Larry, you have your hand raised?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on kind of the basis for staff's recommendation of denial of the second variance. We've repeatedly been getting what I would call sequential variances, where somebody comes in and gets a variance for an accessory structure and then comes back and says, well, because I have the accessory structure here, I need a variance from steep slopes or from setback. And I think one of the reasons we would like to see it combined with an actual building permit for the house or a commitment that any future home would be constructed in the buildable area and not seek a variance to intrude into the setback for the lake or into the restricted areas on steep slope, so that we avoid the situation where the only way we can build the house we want now is to go back and intrude into the steep slope. And I think that's, if we have a commitment that basically it's not going to be used as a basis for future variance, I think that would be fine. But again, that's the situation we get into, that a large accessory building is built on a lot with limited buildable area. And then when the house is ready to be built, they come back and want a variance for the house. And part of the goal is to make sure that the site plan addresses all of the proposed structures anticipated for the site.
Okay, that, to me, that's very helpful. And Todd and, Mr. Deckard, Todd, you might be able to help with this too. Do you see this site as being restricted from having a future dwelling built upon it without being constructed on the ordinance restricted slopes, meeting setbacks, etc., to where Mr. Deckard could make a commitment that would maybe run with the deed?
The commitment would be up to Mr. Deckard, the owner of the property. But I mean, as far as buildable area, the lot size is almost 1.4 acres. And just eyeballing the area, you're looking at about probably 0.8 acres of buildable area. And if you look at the site plan, I mean, that's roughly about a 5,000 foot home we have roughed on there. So with that in mind, yes, there is plenty of room to build a nice sized home or a smaller sized home within the buildable area and enjoy the great view of Lake Monroe.
Okay, so Larry, if Mr. and I'm not talking through Mr. Deckard here, so Mr. Deckard, excuse me, if I'm just trying to make sure I've got the facts to think this through properly before we get to you. So Larry, do you think that if, not to put you on the spot, but if I mean, as opposed to having a full-blown site plan at this time, but a written commitment that would run with the property, that variances based on what they know now wouldn't be requested?
Yeah, I think if we had a commitment that future development would comply with the zoning restrictions in place at the time of the application for the permit, that would be fine. It's just that we're basically, people are creating hardships and then coming back. And we just want to avoid that situation as much as possible in the future.
Okay, Mr. Deckard, are you understanding what Mr. Wilson has introduced as maybe an option here?
Yes, yeah. And knowing the property and the way that the projection of the other residents would be because of slope and setbacks, I would have no problem with that.
Okay. Well, I don't have anything else, Mary Beth.
I have a question for Larry.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but am I understanding you to say that in the past, people have used situations like this to leverage a request for variance in the future? Was that a little bit harsh?
No, I think it actually is the case. And where we have no other way to build a house on the site because we've built other structures in other locations, or we need a variance for what we want to add on to the house because of the way we've constructed the house initially. I mean, as long as there's a commitment that this is it, I'm not concerned about it. That as long as the future plans comply with the ordinance in place at that time, that's fine. I just want to make sure that we're not creating a hardship that would be a basis for a future variance by allowing the construction of the accessory structure in advance of the home. I mean, the reason we don't have a restriction on the accessory structure size with the home is we know exactly what's going to be built on the site. And when you build the accessory structure first, you're automatically limiting the amount of space that's available for construction of the home. And again, I think a commitment that they will comply with the ordinance in place for the home is fine. That takes care of my concern.
Okay, but Mr. Deckard has no problem with that. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. As of today's requirements, that is correct.
Okay.
And I have a question to Larry. So can we legally have him commit to that?
Absolutely. We can require written commitments.
Okay.
And we do often.
Well, yeah, this is Dave Schilling. It seems like that, yeah, that's a commitment that he's willing to make. You can certainly accept that. And you'd want to have that put in writing and recorded possibly before you released a permit for the construction of the building, just to make sure that it gets done. And that's if he's willing to make that commitment.
Okay, thank you, Dave. Okay. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak on behalf of this petition? Seeing none.
Not seeing anyone.
Is there anyone here that would like to speak against this petition?
I don't see anyone.
Somebody have a motion for us?
I can do this. Jackie, would you mind putting the first page of this petition up on the screen for me, please? So I can see the case number and the appropriate information. I might be able to hack something out here. I'll do two motions if that's okay, Mary Beth.
That's fine.
Okay. Okay. In regard to case number 2011-VAR-90, Deckard Hardin Ridge minimum lot size variance to chapter 804. I move that we approve the variance subject to the staff report, findings of fact, and conditions of the highway department, planning staff, and the MS4 operator.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, I will call the roll on petition number 2011-VAR-90, Deckard Hardin Ridge lot size variance from chapter 804. A vote in favor is a vote to approve the variance subject to the, based upon the findings, subject to the conditions in the staff report, and any conditions in regard to highway and the MS4 operator. Again, a vote in favor is a vote to approve the variance. Margaret Clemens,
Yes.
Bernie Garitas,
Yes.
William Hosea,
Yes.
Rebecca Marchek,
Yes.
Vicky Sorensen.
Yes.
Variance 2011-VAR-90 is granted. I have 5-0.
Okay, and in the matter of case number 2011-VAR-91, Deckard Hardin Ridge residential storage structure variance to chapter 802. I move that we approve the variance for the residential storage structure based on practical difficulty. Is that the correct term, Larry? Practical
Yes,
difficulties?
practical difficulty.
Based on practical difficulties and subject to the findings of fact found in the staff report, conditions made therein by planning staff, highway department, MS4. And I'd add the condition that the petitioner must make a written commitment that in order to construct a residence on the property in the future, no variance from the ordinances shall be sought. This written commitment must be recorded prior to the issuance of an ILP for the accessory structure proposed and shall run with the property and subsequent owners. That's all I got.
I'll second that.
Call the roll, Larry?
The votes on petition number 2011-ER-91, Deckard Hardin Ridge variance from the maximum square footage restriction on accessory structure in the absence of a primary dwelling under chapter 802. The motion is to approve the variance based upon an amended finding of practical difficulty being found by the BZA with the development review conditions in the staff report, subject to the highway department MS4 conditions, and with the requirement that the petitioner enter into a written commitment that no variance from development will be sought for future developments, and that said written commitment be recorded prior to the ILP and run with the land, giving notice to subsequent landowners. Does that capture it, Bernie?
Yeah, I think so. Thank you.
Okay. Again, a vote in favor is a vote to approve the variance with the added condition of a written commitment being required. Bernie Garitas,
Yes.
William Hosea,
Yes.
Mary Beth Kismarchek,
Yes.
Vicki Sorensen,
Yes.
Margaret Clemens.
Yes.
The variance is approved by a 5-0 vote with the conditions set forth.
Okay. Next up, we have case number 2011-VAR-92, 2011-VAR-93, and 2011-VAR-94. Tammy?
Larry and Jackie, I had let you know that this was continued, and I missed the very first 3 minutes of the meeting, so I didn't know if the agenda had been amended or not. But this was continued by the petitioner yesterday. He is continuing until March.
Yes, it is listed. Up next will be 2011 VAR 95.
I think, Ann, if this was listed on the agenda, we might just go ahead and have them move to continue it officially since it was before 1 week out.
That seems fair.
So Mary Beth, do you want to put together a motion to continue the case?
Sure. I move that we continue 2011-VAR-92, 2011-VAR-93, and 2011-VAR-94 to March. Is that right?
Yes, correct. That's when
All
they
right.
requested that be continued to.
Okay, I so move.
I second.
Thank you.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that petition number 2011 VAR-92, 93, and 94, the Dickerson variance request be continued to the March meeting. A vote in favor is a vote to continue all 3 variance requests to the March meeting. William Hosea,
Yes.
Ray Biscus Marchek,
Yes.
Vicki Sorensen,
Yes.
Margaret Clemens,
Yes.
Bernie Garitas.
Yes.
The petitions VAR 92, 93, and 94 are continued to the March meeting.
Okay, next up, we have case number 2011-VAR-95. Ann?
Thank you very much. Just 1 second. Jackie's gonna do me a favor and share the screen and run the slideshow for me. I'm working from home, so I don't have any printouts, so I was hoping to be able to keep my report on screen. Okay. So this is the Bansal front yard setback variance from chapter 804. So the petition site is 0.9 acres and it's located in Benton North Township at 9308 North Gray Avenue. The petitioner is requesting a design standard variance from the front yard setback from chapter 804. It is currently zoned suburban residential, and the comprehensive plan recognizes it as rural residential. So the site is a kind of southwest facing Lake Lemon front. It borders on the northeast side a small platted road called North Gray Avenue. The property was built out quite a while ago, so it's currently grandfathered. There is a little bit of slope. So the petitioner has been working with the Monroe County zoning inspector to apply for after the fact permit for a new structure that was built without any approved building permits, a small shed, which you can see the site plan in Exhibit 2, which we'll just see here in a moment. So the property is platted, and it's within a little subdivision called Wolf's First Edition subdivision. It has a platted right-of-way of 30 feet, so 15 feet on both sides of pavement. The front setback for this property would be 40 feet from center line, so 15 feet of right-of-way, then plus 25 feet of a front yard setback for a local road. So the petitioner built a small shed without a building permit that is approximately 20 feet from the edge of pavement. So it's an approximate encroachment of 20 feet. Let's see, so if the variance is approved, it will allow the structure to remain in its current location. If denied, it will require that the structure either is removed or is somehow can comply with the 25 feet from the right of way, 15 feet. So the 25-foot front yard setback from right of way. So this is a pictometry photo. It kind of shows the approximate location. So this is a April 2020 pictometry photo. The petitioner did build it after that, not too long. I think it was early summer. So I kind of circled the approximate location of it. So on the left is the petitioner submitted site plan of the location of the shed. North Gray Avenue is very small. It does have quite a bit of encroachment along the road, but it is platted and does have that 30 feet of right of way on both sides. So, well, 15 feet of right of way on both sides, so 30 feet total. So the staff recommendation is to deny the design standard variance from the front yard setback from chapter 804, specifically based on the findings of fact of number C, finding C, which is practical difficulties. Does anybody have any questions?
Was this one sent separately from the board packet? Because I don't have it.
No, it's included. So it was included late. There was a separate email that went out that said the link was updated.
Okay.
It was the same day. So last Wednesday.
Okay, I missed that second one, but thank you.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions for Ann?
Yeah, and quick question. This is Bernie. What how is the shed attached to the property? Do you know?
So what do you mean attached to the property?
Is it sitting on the ground, or did they set posts and frame up based on?
There's a little bit of slope, but it's slightly elevated on posts on the ground. The area closest to the road, I think, is possibly touching a bit of foundation, and then it's kind of on post elevated.
Okay.
Any
Thanks.
further questions for staff? Is the petitioner here? Can we tell if the petitioner's here?
I don't see his name, but there are a couple of numbers.
Yeah, let me pull up the case file real faster, Anne, if you want to, and we can see if one of those numbers might be the petitioner.
Doug Bansel, if you are listening, this is your time. He did confirm that he would be here tonight earlier, so my guess would be he might have just tuned out.
Yeah, his number starts with a 312, so it's not one of the two numbers on the call.
Okay. Is there anyone here that would like to speak on behalf of the petition? Seeing anybody?
Nope.
Anyone here that would like to speak against the petition?
I don't see anyone.
Okay. Somebody like to make an motion?
I guess I will say, Mary Beth, it seems like we need to ask some questions because in findings, apparently the petitioner went to inquire about a building permit knowing he needed one. And then why did he go ahead and choose to build it so close to the road? Those are questions we can't answer without him giving us the answer. So for me, I would say we should continue letting him come before us. That's just my opinion.
Okay.
I agree with Vicky on that perhaps we should continue it to another meeting to give the requester an opportunity to explain to us why we shouldn't deny it. So, or we could just move to deny it.
It's possible that he is having technical issues
Yes.
happen.
Yes.
And
I can make a motion.
please, Bernie.
Matter of case number 2011-VAR-95, Design Standards Variance, Chapter 804, Front Yard Setback at 9308 North Gray Avenue. I move that we continue this petition on to the next Board of Zoning Appeals meeting in February.
A second.
Okay, please call the roll.
Okay, the vote is on a motion to continue petition 2011-VR-95, the Bansel front yard setback variance from chapter 804 to the February meeting. A vote in favor is a vote to continue the petition to the next meeting. Mary Beth Barczyk,
Yes.
Vicky Sorensen,
Yes.
Margaret Clements,
Yes.
Bernie Garitas,
Yes.
William Hosea.
Yes.
Motion to continue is approved by a 5-0 vote.
And for clarity's sake, that meeting would be on February 3rd.
Thank you. Okay, next up we have case number 2012-CDU-06. Tammy?
Hi. All right.
And
So this is.
May I interrupt for a moment? I have to excuse myself from this one in that I'm on the fire district board, but I'll listen to what you have to say.
Good call. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. So this is the Monroe County Fire Protection District conditional use from Chapter 813. It is a one parcel. It's 0.94 acres located in Perry Township, Section 16 at 285 East Roar Road, and it is zoned RM15. So you can see the city jurisdiction just there to the north, and really just to the south and west of this is the Southside Kroger kind of shopping area, if that helps orientate you for this one. And the upper left is the zoning map. It is zoned RM15 by a recent determination. And we also have the comprehensive plan designates it as Makua Mixed Residential. So this is the site conditions. It is a corner lot, so it's bordered by South Kennedy Drive on the west side, which is a local road, and then the minor collector East Roar Road to the south there. That road was recently improved. They had the utilities relocated. There is a large side path that you can see in the bottom right corner there that goes along the site, and you know, a safer driveway, I believe, according to the highway department. I did talk to them and they had no issues with the access to the site. Located just to the north is Station 22, and that is the fire station that's there currently. The Monroe Fire Protection District recently expanded its kind of jurisdiction. And so Van Buren Fire Department had owned this since 2010, and they rented it out as a home. And now they are going to be using this to house their battalion chief and have offices in this space. These are a couple of the site photos. They are not planning to do any exterior work to the structure, just some interior remodeling. And the bottom picture shows the Station 22 there in the background along South Kennedy Drive. The upper picture is facing west towards that Kroger shopping complex. And then the bottom photo, you can see both the proposed kind of what we're calling a new fire station use, which will house the battalion chief, and then the fire station 22 in the background there downhill. This is an aerial view of the site, and this is from this past April. So you do see the improvements along East Roar Road there. So they had initially, done the conditional use with a proposed letter. They also supplied a full set of findings demonstrating that they're in compliance with Chapter 813's conditional use, not only the general conditions, but also the ones that are very specifically tied to the fire station use out there. So staff actually used a lot of the findings that were provided within the staff report findings, because we did agree with much of what they were saying there. So next. And then because it is a change of use from residential to what we call kind of a more commercial type use or fire station use, they do have to do a change of use site plan. This was kind of realized midway in December. So everyone hustled really quickly. We got a site plan fully approved. It's basically pending approval of this petition. And the only thing that they'll be doing is adding landscaping. They have to do streetscape along South Kennedy Drive and East Roar Road, and then a buffer yard to the east next to, I believe it's a childcare facility. And we did review parking, and there will be some extra parking that is going to be over at the fire station. So they're going to utilize the place, the spaces to the north as well, but we can clearly show 2 indoor spaces and kind of 2 outdoor spaces, but they really don't plan to have more than 2 vehicles on site at a time. So the recommended motion for conditional use 2012-CDU-06 is to approve the conditional use request for fire station based on the findings of fact.
Any questions for Tammy? No questions for Tammy. Okay. Is the petitioner here and would they like to speak?
This is Christine Bartlett. I represent the fire district. I believe the fire chief is also on the call, and Bill Riggert, who,
And are you a lawyer, Christine?
yes, I am.
Okay, so I do not have to swear you in. All right. Proceed.
The only things that I would mention, Ms. Bierman, thank you so much for your guidance through this. This is going to be a really light use. You think fire station, you maybe think big engines, but that's not going to be how this building will be used. As Ms. Bierman mentioned, this is just going to be a place to house the battalion chiefs and possibly the chief from time to time when they're on shift. So when they're sitting around waiting to be on calls, maybe sitting through meetings or doing paperwork, and waiting on the emergency runs, they will respond from this property instead of the station, which is directly to the north. They won't be responding in big fire trucks or engines. Those will be housed at the station. They'll just be using SUV type vehicles. And then the only other thing that I would mention is this is just a really efficient use for the fire district to be able to utilize this building. They've owned it for a long period of time. But with the recent expansion and needing to have those extra chiefs on shift and have a place to house them while they're on shift, this really made a lot of sense. It required very minimal changes to the property, really just painting and updating some flooring. So that's all I wanted to throw in there. I'll let the chief, if he wants to bring up anything that I missed.
Okay. Anyone else here would like to speak on behalf of this petition?
And this is Dustin Dillard, the fire chief at Monroe Fire District.
Hey, Dustin, do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, thank you. Proceed.
Okay. First off, I would like to thank Tammy. Christine has told me multiple times that Tammy was a major help. The tenant that was in this home, we contacted them to discuss what things looked like for their future. And the timing of this just worked out right. A home that they had been interested in Monticello, Indiana, had just become available, and they were actually planning to give us notice. So things worked out. We weren't able to take possession of the home until October. And when we got in there, we realized it really needed painting. The flooring needed replaced if we were going to use this for this. So we got with Christine, we got with building department, and got the ball rolling, and everyone really expedited this. The merger took effect January 1st, 5 days ago. Everything is going really well, but we would love to get this approved and fully implemented. So thank you all for your time and consideration.
Okay, anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I just like to add to Ms. Bartlett. I think what she said was exactly what I thought when I saw the use. It's a very efficient use of their resources, in my opinion. And people probably really won't know that there's a change on that property. Nice job on utilizing your resources to use something you've already got for something that you can fabricate into something that's going to be helpful.
Okay. Anyone else here would like to speak on behalf of this petition? Seeing none. Anyone here wish to speak against this petition?
I'm not seeing anyone.
Not seeing anyone. Would somebody like to make a motion?
I can do that.
Okay.
In case number 2012-CDU-06, the Monroe Fire Protection District, request for conditional use, chapter 813. I recommend that we approve the request based on findings of fact.
I'll second that. Call the roll, please.
You're on mute, Larry.
Okay.
Popular words of the pandemic. You're on mute.
Well, I didn't want my dog. I didn't want my dog to vote. So again, the vote is on petition numbers 2012-CDU-06, Monroe County Monroe Fire Protection District, request for conditional use under Chapter 13 for a fire station. And the motion is to approve the conditional use based upon the findings that the proposed project meets the conditions set forth in Chapter 813. Again, the vote in favor is a vote to approve the conditional use. Vicki Sorensen?
Abstain.
I note your abstention. Margaret Clemens?
Yes.
Bernie Garitas?
Yes.
William Hosea?
Yes.
Mary Beth Kasmarchuk?
Yes.
The petition is approved by a four voting in favor and one abstention.
Okay. Thank you. You have a good evening. Next up, we have case number 2012-CDU-07. Drew?
Thank you. Jackie, do you mind running this one too, so I can use
Sure.
reference? Thank you. This one's
And
a
I
little
also
more
have
detailed.
the video at the end, Drew, for
great.
the petitioner, and then just make a quick note about the parcels involved.
Yeah, I'll make that note right now. In fact, I got a message from the petitioner's representative that there is another lot involved with this petition that we did not notice beforehand. I was going to look at the submitted site plan draft to see where that lot is located. But I will make note that this is for 2 lots, not just the 1 lot that's listed throughout this packet report. So we'll get that straightened out more in our discussion section and when we get to the decision. Okay, so this is the Rumpke Waste and Recycling conditional use variance. It's for a central garbage / rubbish collection facility. It's located at 5220 South Production Drive. It's in Perry Township, Section 29, and it's zoned heavy industrial. The petitioner is seeking conditional use approval for the central garbage and rubbish collection facility. Chapter 802 and 813 of the zoning ordinance state that a central garbage / rubbish collection facility is not permitted in the heavy industrial zone unless it is approved as a conditional use. Petition site is 16.77 acres. That is, in my understanding, the primary lot. I'm not sure how much acreage the secondary lot will add on. We'll get to that. It's currently vacant. The petitioner is proposing to conduct the central garbage / rubbish collection facility use and develop a recycling / waste transfer campus to enhance recycling capabilities in Monroe County. Chapter 802 has a definition for central garbage / rubbish collection facilities. And that is public or private establishments contracted to remove solid waste from residential or commercial uses and transport such waste to a locally operated public or private landfill or other waste collection facility designated for consolidation of garbage and recycled matter. In addition to conditional use approval for the Board of Zoning Appeals, special condition number 33 applies to this type of use. I have included that condition on the next page. It's pretty wordy, but the gist of it is that the petitioner will have to submit a commercial site plan and will be reviewed by planning staff for a lot of those conditions that are noted in special condition 33. So here's that special condition. It's also included in your packet. Again, the major gist here is that we'll require a lot of these during the commercial site plan stage. If you note letter F, you can see Exhibit 4 in the packet for this petition. That talks about having full compliance with the provisions of Monroe County Zoning Ordinance 2007-18. There's some special conditions for this site associated with that ordinance. Okay, so here we have the location map. As I stated before, it's in Perry Township. It's on South Production Drive. You can see West Vernal Pike is to the north there. Here we have the current zoning map and the comprehensive plan. Again, it's zoned heavy industrial, and the comprehensive plan has it designated as, let's see this, Makua employment. Here we have site conditions and the slope map. Site conditions for this property are as follows. It's a vacant former fill site. It intersects with South Victor Pike, getting access from South Production Drive. Sidewalks were installed in the area as part of the Robinson Industrial Park major subdivision, which this is a lot included in that subdivision. There are no known karst features or floodplain areas on this petition site, and there is also a dry stack limestone wall along the southern property boundary on this property. This interest in the dry stack limestone wall did go before the Historic Preservation Board, and they did have a recommendation for a condition of approval for this petition. I will cover that when we get to the approval stage, or the recommendation stage, I should say. But as of right now, their draft site plan simply has the dry stack limestone wall designated, and it says to remain undisturbed. Historic Preservation Board had a little bit more to say about that, and I will get to that later. Here we have some aerial photographs of the petition site. I'm just going to kind of go ahead and go through these. The structure, triangular structure in the bottom right corner, that's part of the Dillman Wastewater Treatment Facility. Give you a better idea of where in the county this location is. More photographs of the site. It's too far high up to see where the dry stack limestone wall is, but when we look at the draft site plan there, we'll see where they have it designated. Here we have a conceptual site plan model provided by the petitioner to get you an idea of what kind of facilities are going to be on site. There'll be two structures, and then this area with the red is a container storage roll-off area. Those containers will be empty, and that area is proposed to be gravel. The rest of it is intended to be paved with parking for trucks and enough space for trucks to move around, as well as parking for employees. The top right structure is an office, and then the left structure is a larger facility, I believe, for processing some of the materials and trucks as well. Here we have the petitioner's submitted letter to the Board of Zoning Appeals stating their intent to establish a recycling waste transfer facility on the property through the use of the central garbage / rubbish, collection facility, as well as they're noting that they have these special conditions, special condition number 33, that they are aware of, and that they will be following those in the site plan review stage. And here we have the draft site plan. You'll notice the two structures on the northern portion of the lot, as well as that container roll-off storage area that is supposed to be gravel, where Jackie just had her cursor as the parking area, where they'll have recycling receptacles. There are two proposed bioretention areas. There's one to the north, to the south west, and then one to the southeast. The southeast one is a backup if the southwest one does not work out. Again, a lot of this on here will be reviewed by staff during the commercial site plan stage. I think there's that northern lot where Jackie has the cursor. That's the additional lot that they were talking about before the meeting this evening, that we want to make sure that we incorporate with this variance proposal, or petition, I should say, excuse me. Just some more pages of the draft site plan, a grading page, as well as a landscaping page. Again, a lot of this will be covered by staff review. And then here I included the Robinson Industrial Park major subdivision plat. You'll notice that lot number 16, which is in the top left corner, that is that additional lot that they are including. And then lot 25 is the primary lot for this petition and proposed project. Here I included the resolution from the Board of Commissioners that has more information about the use of this property through the Monroe County Solid Waste Management District. You can review that language on your own. If we have any questions about it, we can go through it. Here's the recommended motion. Planning staff recommends approval to the conditional use variance for central garbage rubbish collection facility of Chapter 802 and 813 based on the findings of fact, subject to the Monroe County Highway and Drainage Engineer reports with the following conditions. Condition number 1, and this came from the Historic Preservation Board meeting. The petitioner work with a historic preservation professional to produce a preservation plan for the dry stack limestone wall located on the petition site. The preservation plan must include a field and condition survey as well as a long-term maintenance commitment. And condition number 2, the MS4 coordinator must approve the runoff collection system in the roll-off container storage area, including any required collection and treatment system. And that is just to make sure that we don't influence groundwater in a negative way or other drainage characteristics based on that gravel area that won't be paved. I'll take any questions.
Anyone have any questions for Drew? Is the petitioner or the representative here? Mr. Butler?
Hey, this is Daniel Butler with Bynum Fanning Associates. With me is a whole team, and I will let them introduce everybody and kind of do a little presentation here.
Hi, this is Amanda Jefferson, site engineer with Rumpke. First off, just want to thank you guys for the opportunity to discuss Rumpke's proposed resource recovery facility.
Okay, Mr. Butler is an attorney, correct?
I'm a civil engineer.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. I can swear you guys in. Do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right. Thank you. And I'm sorry, the other lady that was speaking, do you swear to tell the truth?
Amanda Jefferson.
Amanda Jefferson, do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Go ahead.
So I do need to warn you guys, I've got a feisty little 2-year-old running around. So you might hear some Mickey Mouse House Club in the background. She thinks she runs the show and she's absolutely right, but I'm gonna run through this and bear with me. So Chairman and Board, we wanna thank you for your time. We also do wanna point out the Planning Commission for their efforts and thoroughness of the presentation. So far, we really appreciate the feedback we've received in the community, and we will continue to adjust our approach based on any more input from the public and local stakeholders and the board as well. We have a whole crew of Rumpke team members present here today, as well as a few of our project partners to discuss any questions you may have. So the team present from Rumpke includes Director of Development, Ted Nura, Director of Recycling, Steve Sargent, Daniel Butler from Bynum Fanyo and Associates, Matt Brown of A&F Engineering. We also have present Area President Jeff Rumpke, Region Vice President Eric Curtis, as well as General Counsel Jim Thaxton and Dustin Plummer from Mallard-Grodner. So in essence of time, we do want to keep our remarks brief. And if it's okay with the board, our team would like to share a quick animation on what the site will look like and daily operations. We think it speaks more than we probably could. So at that point, I'll hand it over to Ted Nura after the video.
All right. My name is Ted Nura.
Ted, do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, thank you. Please go ahead.
Thank you. I don't know if you guys can see my face or not. I might be having troubles with my, and that's probably a great thing. I'm having troubles with my video for some odd reason. But board and chairman, I'd like to thank you tonight for your time. We had some pretty groovy music with that video, and for whatever reason, I think it was a little bit of a 70s kind of / 80s remix, and it didn't come through. So hopefully you guys heard that music. No,
didn't hear the music.
Sorry about that. Hey, we want to thank you for the opportunity. Appreciate Amanda and the team on the phone with us here today. As you know, Rumpke has made multiple local presentations on this project, both to the Solid Waste District and to the Board of Commissioners. We're always excited to talk about the project, how it will promote both environmental sustainability and create economic value for the community through jobs and overall lower costs. We thought the video would just kind of give you a rough idea of how the operations would look. I think a lot of people that aren't familiar with these types of operations, can imagine a lot of different things. We did have the opportunity, as Drew pointed out, to talk to the Historic Preservation Board. There's been some conversations about the stone stack wall. The location of that wall, we've got the site plan pulled up, is on the southern boundary. And it runs pretty much all along the southern boundary. I don't think it's regulated, but Rumpke has made and has consistently made a commitment to the community throughout this process that'll look to preserve and protect that stone stack wall. We do need to find an expert to help us with that journey, as we move through the permitting steps, both locally, there on the commercial site plan, try to develop that, not only do that survey and assessment of the wall itself, but also put together kind of a long-term maintenance strategy for the wall itself. So again, there's no intentions to disturb it. I think it's more about removing some of the vegetation around that wall, so vegetation itself does not disturb the wall long-term. So as Drew pointed out, and I think Jackie pointed, there was lot 16 up there in the upper left-hand corner. We really don't intend to be on that parcel. It does have access to another drive in the commercial or industrial subdivision. We just wanted to make sure there's a little bit of a bleed over on the turning area. We just wanted to make sure that you were aware of that, and as appropriate, it is included in this process. So, I think, again, we appreciate the opportunity. We love the project. We hope the community loves the project. We've made a great commitment. We tried to reach out and collaborate with various neighbors, stakeholders in the community. We've managed a social media site, tried to solicit input and reach out to folks individually as they contacted us. The current pandemic environment has made it a little difficult for us to do some door knocking and shaking hands as we like to do. But again, we appreciate the opportunity. So I just want to make the team and us available for any questions that you may have about the project.
Okay. Does the board have any questions?
I've got a quick question, Mary Beth, and staff can probably help with this. In the petitioner's letter, they list commitments A through F that are to run with the property and the heirs and title. Those are taken directly from the conditional use ordinance, so those would not be necessary to be restated in any motion, would they?
No, I don't believe that they would need to be restated in a motion because those are conditions that are automatically.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought so. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure.
Any
all
further
I've got.
questions, Commissioner or staff?
Some of the neatest trash I've ever seen.
Yes, the video did have very neat looking trash. Is there anyone else here that wishes to speak on behalf of this petition? Seeing none, is there anyone here that would like to speak against this petition?
I'm not seeing anyone, Mary Beth. I am gonna just note that if you would like to speak, go ahead and press the unmute button. And I believe if you're on the phone and you wish to speak on Zoom, it's *6. I'm not seeing anyone, Mary Beth.
All right, then. We ready for a motion?
I can do this.
Thank you, Bernie.
Matter of case number 2012-CDU-07, Rumpke Waste and Recycling, conditional use for central garbage rubbish collection facility at 5220 South Production Drive. I move that we approve the conditional use for the central garbage and rubbish collection facility of Chapter 802 and 813 based on the findings of fact, subject to the Monroe County Highway and Drainage Engineer reports, with the following conditions. The petitioner worked with the historic preservation professional to produce a preservation plan for the dry stack limestone wall located on the petition site. The preservation plan must include a field and condition survey as well as a long-term maintenance commitment. 2, the MS4 coordinator must approve the runoff collection system in the roll-off container storage area, including any required collection and treatment system.
I second.
Call the vote. Larry, please.
The vote is on petition number 2012-CU-07. The Rumpke petition for conditional use for a central garbage rubbish collection facility under Chapter 813. A vote in favor is a vote to approve the conditional use subject to the conditions of the ordinance and based on the findings of fact, subject to the Monroe County Highway and Drainage Engineers reports, and with the following explicit conditions. Petitioner will work with the historic preservation professional to produce a preservation plan for the dry stack limestone wall located on the petition site. Preservation plan must include a field and condition survey as well as a long-term maintenance commitment. 2, the MS4 coordinator must approve the runoff collection system in the roll-off container storage area, including any collection and treatment system. Again, a vote in favor is a vote to approve the conditional use with conditions set forth in the ordinance and in the motion. Margaret Clemens?
Yes.
Bernie Garitas?
Yes.
William Hosea?
Yes.
Mary Beth Kismarchuk?
Yes.
Vicky Sorensen?
Yes.
The conditional use is approved by a 5-0 vote.
And we'll
All right,
note for the
thank you.
record also that included, it was sites 5220 Production Drive, as well as 5147 South Commercial Street. Those were the 2 parcels involved.
Do I need to amend that, the first part of my location, Jackie, to make sure that's clear?
Larry, do you think we should amend it?
I think the petition is for the conditional use, so I don't think there's any need, as long as the petition, as long as the real estate is subject to the petition for conditional use, I don't think you need to explicitly set forth the description in the ordinance or in the motion. Dave, do you have? Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's clear enough.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Any reports or anything?
I have no reports.
No reports from legal.
Okay.
Hey, Mary Beth, I've got a quick comment. Larry, your explanation on that first petition was very helpful. Thank you for that.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Just thank everybody. And I think I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn.
All right, I'll second that motion, Margaret, and we can all go back to watching the news.
That's sure. The lady died. The lady died.
Oh.
Oh,
Yeah, I saw that.
terrible. Take care, everyone. Be
Oh,
safe.
Yeah. Be good to yourselves
Yes.
and live long and prosper.
Thank you.